Alright, sort of response video to Armando, I'll call him 3210, really left of center on Stickam. He's pointed to some of the local issue stuff on one of the local interest video and asked a few questions, so I'm going to answer those. And so on the local issue stuff, affordable housing was one of the issues left of center wanted to pin me down on. Yeah, of course I'm for, I'm for providing certainly people that need housing. I mean, obviously there's people in the world that disabled, horribly sick, something else, and if they don't got the means, we certainly should do something to provide them a nice living environment. So certainly we should be subsidizing affordable housing, just no doubt about it. It's how we do it is the problem. So the system here in New Jersey is just, it's grotesque. So they created this whole preposterous thing. They call it this COAH, C-O-A-H or something, Council for Affordable Housing, and they were supposed to write up these standards, and so they wrote up their standards, and their standards turned out to be shit, and everybody weaseled around them. So then they're going to rewrite them, and so now all these towns are going to be hit with this big burden because they've been cheating for years. So all the housing money that our town is, it's basically been taxing development. So anybody who built in the town got taxed 1 or 2%. To basically put the money into this fund that was supposed to go to rehabilitate housing, to create new housing through rehabilitation, or to build new housing. And our town just basically funneled all the money into a senior citizen complex. Bought them new everythings here and there and whatever. Something that was already subsidized by the federal government, so they got a real bargain. And these are basically, look, I'm not going to say all of them, but a percentage of these people are just people who lived in the town, gave all their money to their kids to bankrupt themselves, so then they can still live in the town, live in a nice little apartment for $300 a month, and it's nonsense. But yeah, part of it is a good idea because it was basically it's called MASH, Inmendham Area Senior Housing, and they let some disabled people in. And it's basically a non-profit that developed this complex that has whatever 25 units in it. And so I like that idea. I like the idea of a non-profit doing the development. I think that's the way to do this. The idea of getting developers, for-profit developers involved in this is, I think, dangerous. But there's two elements here. I mean, it's a complex issue. First, yeah, I try to just take as many for-profit industries out of the equation as possible, get as many hands off the money as possible. And the bureaucracy is grotesque. I got to tell you, the state, I've read the state regulations. There's pages and pages and pages about something that should be very simple. You should meet a certain income limitation. The rents should be based on a certain percentages. I mean, it really shouldn't be that complicated, and there's pages. It's like a tax code. It's completely contradictory. It contradicts itself. There's just no way you can't even sue over this stuff because the language is so convoluted. There's no way a judge could even figure out what the regulation is saying. And that's just bullshit. I mean, it's just a nightmare waiting to happen when you have legislation written like this. This should be written on 2 pages at the most about what somebody's income requirements would be. It's not that complicated. You're either poor or you're not poor. And you're either poor for a good reason or you're poor for a bad reason. And it's not that hard to figure this crap out. And so anyway, I don't like the idea of some business owning the affordable unit, okay? Because they're going to figure out a way to make money off the affordable unit. So the hell with that. I don't like somebody managing it. And that's another problem with this law. The law provides local communities the right to take 25% of the money to manage the money. Now, it's just preposterous. This isn't a bank account. They only spend it once every 3 or 4 years. And they're taking out 25% to manage the money. I mean, it's just silly. It's just a silly, idiotic, ways they've arranged this thing. So anyway, but I'm for affordable housing. It's just how you create it. And that's also a problem because I think some of it has to be community-based. So it has to be, I think the idea of having a retirement community is a good idea because the old people can help each other. They all have similar needs. You can create rec centers for them, all kinds of stuff within their little network. Lots of good lots of good things there. Fucking goddamn phone. Kind of a funny interruption. I'm trying to rent the cottage next door, so I'm in the renting process instead of somebody calling to see the place tomorrow. But anyway, so as I was saying, senior citizens, it's good to have a network, or they can help each other, dependency, all that kind of stuff. You can provide services to them, easily. So it's good to have some housing that is, that old Section 8 or whatever you want to call it. As long as you don't let it turn into a slum, it's good to have it consolidated. and it'd be also good to have, you know, affordable housing that's part of better developments and different developments in different areas. So I mean, the idea of having some apartments above commercial buildings, it seems like a good idea. The idea of having, you know, little cottages as part of some kind of development is a good idea. You really have to have a diverse kind of, you know, where you put this affordable housing and how it's configured is kind of important. And the regulations don't do crap about that. And that's another problem with this thing. And like I say, the idea of some developer owning the property that's affordable doesn't seem to make much sense. So anyway, yeah, but I'm all for the idea, generally speaking. And I'm all for the idea of just taking all the obscene profiteering out of things. Like I said, as long as it's a non-profit or a low-profit business doing the constructing or the developing, then all the better. You know, and let the government just buy the units and then in perpetuity rent them at a cost that is a non-profit cost, a low management cost. But if they're going to rip off the management deal, if the local government's going to screw the system by leeching 25% for its bureaucracy for non-work, a non-contribution, then that's just bullshit. And that's what's going on here. So you did say, you made a little crack about the idea I was dumping on these temporary employees. Well, look, we hire engineers for $40 an hour to come into somebody's fucking house and press the button on a smoke detector. $40 an hour to do that. And we charge somebody $70 to have them do it. So the town is not only making a profit on it, they're paying somebody to do something they shouldn't even be paying somebody $40 an hour to be doing. It's just nonsense. We've got judges who work part-time in different towns, 5, 6, 7 towns. All right, they'll be making $300,000–$400,000 a year. All right, they're providing no service for their damn money. It's disgusting. It's an offense. It's grotesque. So there's a lot of bullshit employment. There's a lot of bullshit government employment. And I know you're very defensive about government employment, but it's a racket, okay? They're running a racket. The town administrator's making $120,000 plus benefits. Plus benefits, okay, of a car and, you know, all the pension perks and all the other bullshit perks. This person is not an exceptional person. By no way. This is not an exceptional person. This is not the person that should be making $120,000 a year. The job description isn't even capable of coming to that figure. It is just nonsense. It's just part of the industrial complex of government employee union bullshit.